Good evening, everybody. I'm very honored to be here as the honorary survivor for the Aurora Relay for Life. As many of you know, the theme of today's event is superheroes. And there are, in the traditional story of a superhero, what typically happens is an ordinary person, something out of the ordinary happens to them, and they're put into a world that they don't quite understand and they need to navigate. And in that world, they meet friends and foes, and they learn how to harness that power and fight. And today I want to share with you my superhero story. But in traditional superhero stories, it's typically one superhero saving a village. And in my particular story, it's about a village of superheroes saving one. My story starts in June 2008 in my ordinary world, a traditional hockey mom of 3, living a very ordinary life. And then something out of the ordinary happened to me. At just 37, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'm sure many of you can imagine that words like shocking and devastating don't even begin to cover how I felt at that time. I went through 18 weeks of chemotherapy, 25 radiation treatments, a double mastectomy, and all the emotional turmoil that goes along with something like that. And shortly after I was diagnosed, one of my friends connected me with a woman that had gone through a similar experience. And she said to me, "Lori, you can expect to lose about a year of your life." And I remember thinking at the time, a year of my life, what a terrible thought that is, given none of us really know. And I made a very conscious decision in that moment that I was going to do anything I could to make it the most joyful and wonderful year under the circumstances. But it's difficult to do something like that alone, and I needed some help. So enter into the story my own personal brand of heroes, my circle of sisters. These women did things like sneaking wine into the hospital after my surgeries, throwing a party for me to shave my head before the medicine made it all fall out. They kept me active and exercising a lot of miles on my running shoes, bringing board games to chemotherapy treatments, late night phone calls and slumber parties, trips and travels. I got to tell you, these women were up to the task. And these superheroes have powers of compassion and kindness and boundless energy and humor and intelligence and just a bit of mischief. They are beautiful and they are my best friends. And they're all here tonight with me to celebrate and to give me another joyous and wonderful experience. Because you got to dance in the rain, right, ladies? So that's what we're going to do tonight. Another conscious decision I made during that time was that I was going to be grateful. Grateful for all the wonderful that I had in my life and not focus on what the cancer had taken from me. So my next band of superheroes, my very own cast of characters, the Fantastic Four, I like to call them, my kids Tyler, Brady, Eve, and my husband Casey. It's very easy to feel gratitude when you have a family like I do. I'm grateful for the fact that my husband decided to change his career and work from home so he could spend more time with me and the kids, and continues to manage his career, that we have a very rich family life, the 5 of us. I'm grateful that my 16-year-old son, I know, is growing into a very compassionate adult because of what he had to do when he was 11 to help his mother deal with her illness. And on a side note, him along with his dad and some friends raised over $6,000 for my Circle of Sisters team this year through an amazing fundraising event. And I'm so proud of you, Ty. I'm so proud of you. I'm grateful that my 14-year-old son will never be too old to hug his mom, because at 9, that's really all he knew how to do to make me feel better, and he has carried that into his teenage years, and he is the best hugger, and I'm grateful for that. That's quite a superpower. I'm grateful to my daughter, who at just 6 years old found a very deep faith, and she really discovered the power of prayer. And at 11, she continues to tap into that faith to navigate her life. And I think what a wonderful gift. Can you be grateful and find the positive in a 37-year-old mother of 3 being diagnosed with cancer? Absolutely you can. On a side note, I would be remiss not to mention my parents, who moved in for weeks after my diagnosis to help me with the kids, held my hand during my first chemo treatment, and who are, of course, here to support me today, because there's nothing quite like the superpower of a parent's love. When I was going through my treatment and bald, I made a decision that I wasn't going to show anybody what I looked like bald. I went to the grocery store decked out like I'd never been before, and funky hats and different wigs, and even, when people came to the house, I was always done up. And it was October, and my son's hockey team, the parents were throwing a party, come as your own favorite rock star. Norma remembers this. And we were sitting around the table that week, and we were trying to decide what our costumes were going to be, and we were joking that I should go as Sinead O'Connor or Britney Spears. And I was, of course, joking. And the kids said, "Oh, Mom, that'd be really cool. You should do that." And, there's no way. There's just no way I'm going to do it. And Tyler fed me one of those lines like, Mom, you always tell us that people love you for who you are and what's on the inside and not what. Like, oh, crap. And that night, Eve was in bed, and I heard her outside her door, and she was saying her prayers. Please, Lord, give my mummy the strength to go to the party bald. So if you told me I was going to walk into a party with 30 friends and acquaintances bald, I would have said you're absolutely crazy at that time. But you know what? I did it. And it was a very liberating and amazing experience. Recently, I was reading a story about a woman who had breast cancer, and she'd had a double mastectomy. And when she was getting out of the shower, her granddaughter walked into the bathroom and pointed out to this woman her very obvious missing body parts. And the grandmother looked at her grandchild and she said, "Yes, but look at all of me there is left." And I think that's what I was trying to say when I walked into that party. Look at all of me there is left. And I think sometimes you just have to be your own superhero. The last group I want to mention that harness their powers for me to fight the enemy, or the superheroes I like to call community crusaders. It goes without saying, my whole medical team was part of this entourage, but also my children's teachers, neighbors, and in some cases, absolute strangers that showed me extreme acts of kindness. Like a woman that I worked with and didn't know well in a staff of 200 that every month sent me a handwritten card note for 12 months during my medical leave to tell me she was thinking about me or wishing me well. Or the hockey coach that rounded up his troops and organized what I like to call the pink stick game, where he'd take those sticks from head to toe and hockey socks and helmets and dedicated a playoff game to me and said, I am the ultimate tiger, and I had taught them how to keep fighting, and they were going to fight and win that game for me, and they absolutely did. What power that was. But most importantly, in this group of community crusaders, I include all of you. For to me, you are the ultimate superheroes. It's really because of all of you that stand here today that I am 5 years cancer-free. It's because of the money that you raise for events like Relay for Life. I'm sure almost all of you here has been touched by cancer in some way. You cannot duck it. It happens to your friends and family and mothers and daughters and children. And you know what? It happens to 37-year-old mothers of 3 with homework and carpools and hockey games to attend to. And because you have chosen, like all good superheroes do, to fight, to fight for people like me, I want to thank you. I want to say thank you to my village of superheroes.
So now I'd like to direct everybody's attention over here.